Screen is visible?
Yes, sir.
Fine. So good morning, everyone. We will start with the lecture of today on pattern, its materials, types, and allowances. So we have been discussing about the casting process. So this casting process, as we have discussed, we will just review it a little bit. So casting process is a process to create products by shaping them into a definite shape. So in casting, we need to create a mold cavity. Then we have to pour the molten metal inside that cavity, and then we have to allow that molten metal to solidify. Then, upon solidification, the molten metal will take the shape of the cavity. So that is about the casting process. So we have seen the basic arrangement of a casting process in a sand cast molding arrangement using the diagram in the last lecture. So today we will discuss some more details about the pattern which is used in the casting process. What are the different materials which are used to make that pattern? We will also see different types of those and allowances which are very important on these patterns. So what is a pattern? So pattern is basically object which is used to mold or shape the molding material, that is sand in this case, so that we can give a definite shape to the cavity which will be produced inside the mold. So pattern, it is the replica of the model or of the object which is to be produced using casting. Suppose if I have to produce a cube, so then I have to make the pattern of the same shape. So this pattern is basically a very important factor in the casting process because the quality of the casting will largely depend on the pattern material and its design. So whatever product we are going to obtain from this casting process will largely depend on this. What is the type, what is the nature or what is the material of this this pattern. So why we are emphasizing on quality? So quality is basically linked here to the surface finish. So surface finish of the casting is basically dependent on the molding material as well as on the pattern. So these patterns, they can be made up of different materials. So different materials as in they can be made up of plastic, they can be made up of wax, they can be made up of wood, they can be made up of metal. So you can understand that to create a pattern, so pattern is nothing but it will be a replica of the object. Again, you have to shape that pattern maybe using some other process. You need to finish that using say some machining process. So to do this, basically you will incur a cost to produce that pattern. Now the cost which is incurred to produce a pattern, that has to be justified by the number of castings that pattern can produce. Because every time we will create a mold in the sand, so we will be using the pattern. Some patterns like wooden patterns, they may not be very suitable to produce large number of castings because inherently it is the nature of the wood material which will basically distort or it will absorb moisture that will cause defects or maybe distortion in the patterns. So in such cases you will basically use metallic type of patterns which are we can consider a permanent kind of patterns. And then we have another variety of patterns with us like wax, which these patterns they always get evaporated in the casting process. So one of the casting process that I discussed in the beginning was investment casting process. We will see some more details about that process in this module. So the point here is the expensive pattern is only suitable only if and only if the number of cast products, if the number of that cast product is very high. So in case we don't want to produce very large number of products, so that then what we will do is basically we will use a pattern made of wood. because wood is a material which is easily available. It is very easy to shape wood. Now you can understand if you have a block of metal and you have a block of wood. So suppose I have this block which is made up of metal, say aluminium, and at the same time I also have a block which is made up of wood. So now you can understand because of the inherent nature of these two materials. So this one is a metal, and then this wood is basically a naturally occurring composite material, relatively soft than the metal. So you can understand in which case it will be easy to shape this pattern if it is made up of wood or if it is made up of aluminium. But what will happen, this wooden pattern, if you create this wooden pattern out of wood, so this may not uh, you know uh, hold its dimension or the surface quality for very long number of castings. But the aluminium one, it will be holding its surface finish or dimensions for a very long period of time. So only and when we are in a position to produce very large number of cast products, we will go with the metallic type of pattern. In other most cases, we will go with the wooden type of pattern. Now, what are other factors which affect the selection of a pattern materials? Although some of them have been just discussed. So one of the factor is the volume of production of casting. So volume essentially, basically, in other words, you can take it as the number of the cast products which can be produced. Then the service requirements. So certain cast products, they need to have a very good surface finish. So why I am talking of the surface finish every time? Because in engineering components, the surface of the engineering component, it plays a very important role. So if this is any object, so if I consider this as the surface of this object, so in engineering, what is there? No engineering surface. So this is, we will say, as an engineering surface. So no engineering surface is perfectly flat. In most, when you look at the microscopic level, what you will observe, all these surfaces, they have these undulations present over them. So these undulations, basically, when they are present on the surface, so the objective for most of the components may be to have a very flat type of surface, a very smooth type of surface. But if you see on the microscopic scale, the surface may not be smooth, but the undulation are going to be present. So higher are the undulations. So if these values of the undulation is very high, that is measured using the parameter known as the surface roughness. So there is an instrument which does measure this surface roughness, and this surface roughness, if it is high, so this means the finish is poor, and it is vice versa. So I can say that surface roughness is or the surface finish is an inverse parameter of surface roughness. So generally in some cast products, it is required that the surface which is produced, that should be of very high finish, or the degree or the value of surface roughness should be very low. So again, that goes back to the what was the pattern material which was used to make the cavity in the mold. So generally with wood, so the surface finish may not be very good, but with metals and say these wax, the surface finish will be very good. So depending on this quality, intricacy is the complex design, and then minimum section size. So section size is basically the thickness, how thick or how thin the casting is, or the degree of accuracy, that is the ability to produce the same dimensions each and every time. So these factors, they also largely affect the selection of the material for the pattern. Then possibility of design changes. So often there may be a situation that a product is being produced in some particular design today, and after a few weeks, the design needs to be changed. Now, in some materials like metals and all, so what you have to do, you have to entirely produce a new pattern with the new design changes. So if there is a material which can easily handle the change in design, so the cost of producing the pattern will come down. But if you select a material in which the design changes, incorporation of the design changes is very difficult, so then the cost of the pattern will increase, which will subsequently increase the cost of the cast product. Then a type of molding method to be used. So molding method, there are different type of molding methods, manual molding or automatic molding. So depending on that, also the selection of the pattern material has to be done. Generally in automatic molding, what is done that we need to have a very robust, a very rigid type of a pattern material. Even with handling of machine, with machinery, the dimensions and surface quality should not degrade. Then possibility of repeat orders. So this is generally a batch, in a batch type of production where you anticipate that the same type of products may be required time and again. So in that case, you may select a different type of a pattern material, say of metal. And when there is a less possibility that you will get the same type of product or repeat orders, so then you may opt to have a wooden type of a pattern. Now we will see what are the desired characteristics in any pattern material. Not all materials will be used as pattern materials. So for a material to be used in pattern, it should have a certain desirable characteristics. So what are those? One is good manufacturability. Now you can understand this term manufacturability. So manufacturability is basically the ability to be converted into a final product with a desired surface finish. So here the final product is to be converted into the pattern. Means you should not select a material which is very difficult to be molded or shaped into different, patterns or replicas of the product which will be ultimately cast. Then it should be light in weight, high strength to weight ratio. Generally, these patterns, they have to be handled time and again, and they have to be taken from one, say from the cope or from the drag. They have to be shifted from one molding flask to the another molding flask. So generally, their weight should be less, but at the same time, they should also retain their strength. It is also expected these pattern materials, they should be resistant to wear and abrasion. So what is wear and abrasion? So wear and abrasion are basically surface phenomena which include gradual loss of material. So gradual loss of material when two surfaces or two materials, they interact during, I can say, interaction of two surfaces. So for interaction, you can understand there has to be a relative motion. So when there will be a relative motion between two surfaces, so the surface which is hard is going to remove material from the surface which is relatively soft. And this, when the material is getting removed, so ultimately you're gradually losing material. So this phenomena of gradual loss of material is known as wear. And abrasion is basically the term which is basically scratching by hard particles. So if you have seen a sandpaper, which is used for finishing and all, so it has a lot of grits, the silicon carbide grits over it. So when you rub such type of material on a soft material, so you are basically abrading the material to remove excess material. Corrosion, you can understand they should be resistant to corrosion, because if there is corrosion, so there will be again loss of material, and we don't want that to happen from a pattern, because pattern carries a very important aspect for any cast product, that is a dimensional integrity. Because if I am producing a cube, I am casting a cube, so I have intended to produce a cube, say for with the side of 10 millimeter. Since it will be a cube, so all the sides will be of 10 millimeter. So if for by chance this wear or corrosion happens, so there will be loss of material. So when there will be loss of material, so what is going to happen? Maybe one of the dimension, maybe this dimension, it comes to 9.9. So since the material is now lost, so some of the material will be lost. Now what will happen when you will cast this using this pattern of this distorted pattern? So when you will cast, the material. So you will not get a perfect cube, but you will get a cube which will have one dimension different than the other dimension. This is why this happened, because the pattern material that you have selected, that was not very good. So it underwent corrosion or wear or some chemical action, because of which the dimension of the pattern got changed, which ultimately changed the dimension of the cavity. That ultimately changed the dimension of the cast product. So everything is linked. So what will happen? So change in size. So this pattern size is basically influencing the cavity size, and cavity size is basically influencing the casting size. So that is why the pattern is so important, because it indirectly affects the size, or I can also consider with size surface finish. So generally this wear and corrosion, what I am saying here, is wear and corrosion, these are surface related phenomena. They may not happen in the bulk of the pattern, but they will happen on the surface of the uh, pattern. So this surface finish is the surface finish of the casting cavity is also influenced by the surface finish of the pattern. If the pattern is very rough, having a very rough profile on the surface, it will leave the cavity also with the rough profile. So and if it is a very smooth profile on the pattern, so we will end up with a very smooth cavity. Then next aspect is basically the dimensional stability. That is what just I was mentioning, that pattern material should be such that it should retain its dimensions in these different service requirements. So one of the aspect I already mentioned is the surface should be unaffected by wear or corrosion, and at the same time the coefficient of thermal expansion. So coefficient of this thermal expansion is, this one should also be not very significantly affecting the dimensions. So when there will be variation in temperatures in handling, there will be variation in humidity and all. So often what happens with wood as the pattern material, it has the characteristic to absorb moisture, and when it will absorb moisture, the dimension will change. So we don't want that. So if it absorbs moisture, suppose this dimension instead of going from 9.9, this becomes 11. Again, that will become a distorted pattern, and we don't want that. So if this becomes 11, say one of the dimension changes because of this humidity, again this will change the size of the pattern, which will change the size of cavity, and which will change size of the casting. So ultimately what has happened, the pattern affects so many things in the casting process. Now we will see different popular materials which are used in the casting process. So casting uses a wide variety of materials as pattern materials in this casting. So one is the most popular are the wood. So certain woods, generally the hardwoods are there, like pine, mahogany, teak, walnut. So these are the hardwoods, means they have a very dense structure. So these type of woods are used as the pattern materials. I can say in more than 50% of the cases, if you explore in casting, you will observe the pattern is made up of wood. Reason being, it is easily available, it is easy to shape it, but at the same time, it is well affected by corrosion. It is not corrosion, where variation in humidity and surface finishes. Then different metal and alloys. So generally, depending like aluminium and all, they are light in weight. So aluminium and its alloys are also popularly used as pattern materials. Plasters. So plaster, this is plaster of Paris. So gypsum and all is also used as the pattern material. Rubber and plastics may also be used. Wax is used. So wax is in particularly used with the investment casting process. So that we will study in more detail. So these are some of the materials which are used as the pattern materials. So now with this background, we move to the allowances which are provided on the patterns. So allowances, what is the meaning of these allowances? So these allowances basically are meant for the dimensions. So these dimensions. So certain allowances are there to maintain the dimension of the pattern, because now you understand that the size and shape of the pattern is influencing the size and shape and finish of the cavity, which will ultimately influence the same properties in the cast product. So there are different type of allowances which are provided on this pattern. We will see one by one, all these allowances and why they are provided, then how they are provided, and what is the intent of them. So there is one allowance which is the shrinkage allowance, then there is a draft and shake allowance, then is machining allowance, distortion allowance, and a wrapping allowance. So largely, if I say that these are the five main uh, allowances which are provided on any pattern material. Now, what are these? We will study one by one what are the different allowances. First, we will take up the shrinkage allowance. Now, shrinkage allowance is an allowance basically which is given to, counter the shrinkage effect that the metals upon solidification will encounter. As I discussed earlier, so you can understand when the metal is in molten form, the molecules may be not arranged in a rigid fashion. So this is here, it is liquid. It is liquid here. And when it solidifies upon losing heat, so what will happen? The molecules will be then tightly packed. Or I can say the overall structure will shrink upon solidification. So this means if we want to compensate this shrinkage during the casting process, what we have to do is we have to make the pattern slightly bigger than the actual requirement. So this means the shrinkage allowance, it will be basically a positive allowance. Why is positive? It is positive because we have to give this allowance on the pattern, we have to make the pattern slightly bigger. So this is a positive allowance, we can consider it. So this, when it goes from solid to liquid. So in this case, there is generally three phases of shrinkage taking place in the casting process. So these three phases of shrinkage basically are compensated by different aspects. I will just show. So if you see this graph, so this graph is basically a solidification pattern for pure metals. So these are for pure metals. So here we are considering as the cast iron as the example. Although with cast iron, so what is happening? So there are three phases. This is phase one, this is phase two, and this one is phase three. So most of this, shrinkage in the phase one and phase two. So this shrinkage happening here and shrinkage happening here is compensated by the riser. So we discussed in the last class that riser is a very important, one of the important, aspect in the mold design and the cavity design. And the riser, it should solidify at the last, because if the riser is, when it solidifies at the last, it provides the excess molten material which compensates this shrinkage. But this shrinkage in phase three, that is in the solid, once it enters the solid part or the solid phase, this shrinkage is taken care by this shrinkage allowance. So this is very important to understand that during solidification there will be three phases of solidification. One is in the liquid regime, then is in the liquid solid regime, and last is in the solid regime. So our allowance is only good only in the solid regime. In zone 1 and zone 2, the shrinkage is compensated by the riser. So for that, we don't have to provide any allowance on the pattern. And here you can see how as the shrinkage, as the solidification proceeds, how the specific density it increases. So this is why this happens, because the atoms, they become very tightly packed as they lose temperature or as they lose energy. That means upon solidification they become tightly packed, And below you can see the solidification pattern for, say for example, cast iron. So what is happening? This is basically time given in minutes for suppose a casting. And when you pour the molten metal in the cavity, so solidification starts from the edges. So they start from the edges. So these some grains they solidify from at the edges. So these are known as the nucleating sites. And as the temperature is lost with the passage of time, more and more grains they solidify. And as the solidification proceeds, you completely get a outside in kind of a solidification pattern. So what is important to remember here, the shrinkage allowance, it is a positive allowance because you will make the pattern slightly bigger, and this shrinkage allowance will take care of the shrinkage happening in zone 3. So this table basically summarizes to us the different values of shrinkage allowance which is provided on different materials. Now these values are also a function of coefficient of thermal expansion of the casting material. So based on that, the values are different. So there are different data books which are available in which these values of these allowances are provided. So we can look up into the data book, and then we can design the pattern as per the requirement. Next is the draft allowance. So what is the draft allowance? The draft allowance is basically the slight change in the shape which is provided on the pattern in order to facilitate its easy removal from the mold. So this is well explained using this figure. So if you have these vertical surfaces on the pattern, so this is the pattern here. So what is happening? If you are having this pattern in this cavity and you want to remove it from this mold, so here it is the mold. So if you have these perfectly vertical surfaces, often what happens is since these vertical surfaces they may have a very good sometimes very good contact with the molding sand. Upon removal, we may observe certain cracks which may be formed in this cavity. So you can very well understand if you have this type of a cavity here which has cracks or notches here. So this is very prone to maybe some forces during solidification, and the casting which will be produced will be a distorted casting with several defects. So in order to remove this type of the problem, so what we do is we slightly taper it. So this is taper is basically what you have done is this slight taper has been provided, this angle here. So this angle here, it is bit exaggerated, but this is so small value that it may not be even visible directly. So these values may be of the order of 1 to 1.1.5 degrees. We slightly taper it. So while tapering it, what it helps? It helps in easy withdrawal of this pattern from the mold. So in this case, we won't end up with several cracks or notches here in the mold. So this is the draft allowance. So you can see in this table the different values of the internal or external draft. So you can see these angles are very small in values. So they are not very extensive, but they have to be provided in order to minimize those cracks while removing the pattern. Next is the machining allowance. So what is machining allowance? So machining, we have discussed a little bit about this process. So machining is basically a process to remove excess material from the any product to or to create a very fine surface finish. So why is it important here in creating pattern? So machining is done on all the cast products. So please remember that casting, it is a primary manufacturing process. So it is very rare that any product which is cast is directly be used in service. So generally the product after casting, they are subjected to a surface finishing, or excess material is removed to create the perfect dimensions. So they are generally subjected to machining operations where excess material will be removed. So these machining operations are done to basically impart accuracy and surface finish. So this means if you will remove the excess material, suppose I am producing this shaft. So shaft is basically a cylindrical um, rod which is used to transmit power. So if I am intending to produce the diameter of the shaft as 20 millimeters, so this is like the final requirement. So what I will do, I will cast a rod. Okay. So I will cast a rod. So this rod will be say of diameter 25. So when I will machine it, so what I am going to do is I am going to remove material from the surface uniformly so that the final diameter which is there is basically 20 millimeters. So this means I am providing extra material on the cast product, which I will be subsequently removing in machining. So this means this machining will also be a type of a positive allowance. Means we are adding excess material on the pattern so that the size of the cavity, the size of the cavity will be with say bigger dimensions. You get a cast product which is having of bigger dimensions than what is required in the final one, which will be the dimensions will be finally then met using the machining process. So machining allowance is dependent on what type of metals are being cast, what is the molding setup, and what is the accuracy required, to what extent the machining can be done. And complexity and surface finish, those are other details with this type of allowance. So here you can see the different values of the machining allowance which are provided. So these are dependent on the different metals, what type of material is being cast, what is the application and all. Next, it is basically the distortion allowance. So distortion allowance is basically provided basically to counter the distortion which comes into casting. So why this distortion comes? That is first question. So distortion comes because upon solidification, when there is loss in temperature, several thermal stresses they are induced. So thermal stresses are induced in the cast product. So thermal stresses basically what they cause is they cause change in some dimensions, like some part may be bulged out or some part may not be bulging out. So what we do is, in order to counter this type of bulging, we create a pattern which will have an opposite effect, so that when the final casting takes place, at least the casting will have a straight kind of a profile. So in this, what is done, the pattern is given some distortion of an equal and opposite amount, but in the opposite direction of the expected distortion. So this is known as the distortion allowance. Next is the wrapping allowance. So wrapping allowance is provided on the pattern to facilitate its removal. So one allowance that we have discussed which facilitates the removal was the draft allowance. And wrapping, what is wrapping? So what you do in wrapping is, suppose you consider this as the lower half. Suppose this is the drag. So you have suppose this pattern which is placed inside. So this is the pattern. So when you will remove this one draft you have already provided here, that is a draft allowance. So what you will do during wrapping, you will slightly shake this pattern. So when you will slightly shake this pattern in the while it is placed in the drag, so what will happen? You are essentially enlarging the cavity size. So when you will enlarge the cavity size, so this means the wrapping allowance, this will slightly make the casting bigger, and it will facilitate the removal of the pattern. So wrapping is this action of vibrating or moving this pattern slightly while it is still in the mold. So to facilitate easy removal. So generally, since the pattern is itself upon moving making the size bigger, so wrapping allowance calls for a slightly a negative type of an allowance, because we want the pattern to slightly be of this smaller size, so that even upon wrapping, since the size of the cavity will increase, so that is then countered by slightly controlling this size. So what is done is basically to have all these allowances, everything is optimized in a proper way. And in average size casting, the increase in size may be ignored. But in large castings, even the slight change in the dimensions, they generally will increase the cost of the cast product, because ultimately you will make a slightly oversized casting, and again to create the proper surface finish on that casting, you will be needing machining and other processes. So that is why wrapping allowance has to be carefully managed. So that is, I already mentioned, it is a negative type of an allowance. So with this, we will stop for today, and now we will take up questions.